I suppose the biggest single change is China's growth as a major power. Now the world's second largest economy, probably in terms of GDP, measured in purchasing power, parity terms, may even overtake the United States as the world's largest economy in a relatively short period of time. Concomitant with that economic growth has been significant military modernization as well. And just, overall then, in terms of comprehensive national strength, the biggest story of the past 2 decades has been China's arrival on the world scene. Today, China's interests, China's voice, these things have to be taken into account in the councils of world power today in a way that simply wasn't the case a very short time ago. And that's really the big change that we are looking at, and how then does that impact relations with the United States, China's relations with American security partners and allies in the Asia-Pacific region, and I guess ultimately how in this new balance of power can the United States and its friends and allies succeed in integrating China into the world community as a constructive, productive, and friendly power over the next decades. That's the big challenge. China's very survival, China's very ambition to be a more economically wealthy and stable place depends very much on maintaining a strong and constructive relationship with countries like the United States. That, at its core, I think, is the fundamental interest which will drive most of what China does in the future. And I think for as far as we can foresee, the coming decade or so, I think we can expect that to remain a fundamental part of China's approach to the outside world. Syria has been already for a couple of years now, with its disintegration, and now increasingly the humanitarian issues that have arisen. This has been a bone of contention between the United States and China for some time. China maintains a sort of principled position of non-intervention by and large, unless it's somehow A, invited by the country in question, in this case Syria, and B, sort of gets the blessing of the United Nations through the United Nations Security Council. Neither of those conditions are likely to arise, and so China is going to continue to argue that there cannot be, should not be, and cannot be any form of intervention into the situation in Syria by outsiders. China's unlikely to budge off that position. They might possibly sort of hide behind a Russian veto going forward and abstain, but they're generally going to be reluctant to want to see an increase in American involvement in the Middle East, or from the West for that matter. Chinese leaders, I think, feel burned somewhat from the experience with Libya that brought the fall of Colonel Gaddafi there. The Chinese, I think, are extremely keen not to see that happen again in the case of Syria. So there's not going to be a lot of cooperation between the U.S. and China on this question, even if it's possible to convince the Chinese that there has indeed been this use of chemical weapons by the Syrian regime against their own people.